I think we are good to go. Yes. Are we all here? I guess so. Good morning, everybody. This session is we're going to focus on young professionals and the opportunities to work at the CTBTO. The session is going to be somewhat similar to the last two sessions that we had, but we are going to introduce some new elements that are interesting for this target group for young professionals. So if you have attended the last two sessions, it's going to be very, very similar. And maybe, you don't want to listen to that part, but it could be then that you actually want to listen to the part that we have introduced, where we are going to also have some new colleagues coming to talk about some different elements of joining the organization as a young professional, as an intern, etc. So I think we're going to proceed. I am sure we also have very interested people following us online. So I welcome you as well. At the end of the session, and it's going to be, I think, in total 4 people speaking about these opportunities. We're going to give you the floor for questions. Also, we will be checking the screen just in case we receive questions for those of us following us online. Let's proceed with this. The first thing I'm going to do is introduce one of our colleagues who is our Associate Diversity Officer and who actually works very hard on promoting the organization from all sides of diversity. One of the flagships of the organization, and this is really thanks to her hard work, is the mentoring program. She's going to talk a little bit about this right now. My name is Marta Fernandez de Mazarambroz, and I work as Recruitment and Staff Development Head in the Human Resources section of the CTBTO. So I'm also sitting here with other colleagues, Marius Llano and Ahima Kularatne. They're going to also talk and do their bits so that you can have a very comprehensive overview of what it is to join as a young professional in this organization. So the first thing I'm going to do is give the floor to Denise. Please come to the stage and talk a little bit about the mentoring program. Thank you very much. Oh, do you need a... Okay, in one sec. Where is your part?
Next one.
This one? Yes.
Okay.
You want to have
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, thank you, Marta, and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening to our virtual participants. My name is Denise, and I'm the Associate Diversity Officer at CTBTO. I was invited to talk about the mentoring program, as you just heard, the mentoring program for early career women in STEM from all around the world. But before we're going to start, I want you to remember this slide. We're going to come back to it shortly later. I want to tell you also this story. When Dr. Robert Floyd became the Executive Secretary of CTBTO, he had a meeting with us, and he said that we need more female scientists, especially from underrepresented regions and coming from a younger generation. We need to build next pipeline of scientists who can contribute to our truly global mandate, is to put an end to the nuclear testing around the world. So he said we need to do something, and we came up with this mentoring program, which empowers these candidates. The mentoring program consists of 32 activities: mentoring, coaching, networking, and also amongst these 32 activities, we have 24 skill boosters. So far, they are practical exercises. And all of it for 12 mentees paired with mentors from the CTBTO staff members, technical experts. And all of it to be accomplished in 8 months. The program's success went beyond its expectations. As a highly technical organization, CTBTO experienced challenges in onboarding female scientists. and especially to our external trainings. As you know, we have on-site inspection, we have capacity building trainings, courses for future nuclear inspectors, for example, right? And in order to become part of these courses, you need to be nominated by the state signatories. Only the state signatories can nominate our participants. So it was indeed truly a delight for us when we found out that 6 mentees were nominated by their national authorities as observers, and 2 of them were nominated as a future nuclear inspectors, as a full participants. So the state signatories saw the potential, and they did something. They nominated them. Now I'm going to ask you to do something too. I'd like to ask you to take your phones right now. I'm going to give you some minute, and I'd like to ask you to scan this QR code for me. Could you please do that for me? I'll give you a couple of minutes, maybe less. I also put a link. The link is for the Twitter post and the QR code for LinkedIn post. So you see, it brought you to the story behind this mentoring program. So now I'm going to ask you to do something. I'm going to ask you to share it. This is already action. This is how we promote it. This is how we spread the news. If you are an early career scientist, women scientists, coming from all around the world, and you need someone to coach you, someone to help you build your career path, apply. If you know someone who can be a suited candidate, suitable one, share it, encourage them, inspire them. So this girl, she is actually one of our mentees. She's coming from Indonesia, and she's today with us in the audience. She wasn't aware that I'm going to put her a little bit on the spot. Her name is Win, and Win is a winner. And so are all of them, all of our mentees. This is a winning program, and we would like to ask you to make sure that we're going to bring more winners. I thank you for your time. I hope I earned the privilege of your time. If you have any questions, please feel free. Don't be shy. Come by, and we're going to talk. I have to, unfortunately, run after this to the meeting.
Thank you so much, Denise. And Denise will be also in the HR booth located upstairs on the 2nd floor if you have any questions about it. Indeed, this program is running right now. It started in May, and it's going very well. And the mentors are really, really dedicated in helping these young professionals in all the aspects that Denise mentioned that this program includes, so that at the end of that program, they can actually say, I now learned something. I really grew professionally out of this experience. And so we hope to have this mentoring program expanded and continuing in the following years. We have not only the mentoring program, we have other things for you. We're going to also welcome Marius Jano, who is our Associate Outreach Officer. He's going to talk to you a little bit about what he does and why it's so important to listen to him in this presentation, which is related with the joining of young professionals. So Marius, please, if you want to join.
Hello, everyone. And first of all, thank you to Marta, Emma, and Mahmoud for organizing this session for young professionals, which I think is very important, and also for inviting me to be part of this session. So a little bit about myself. I'm the Associate Voluntary Contribution and Outreach Officer at the Office of Executive Secretary at CTBTO, but at the same time I'm part of the CTBTO Youth Group Task Force, which basically works and coordinates the work of the youth group globally, but not only that, but also youth engagement overall. Today, I'm going to talk very shortly about the youth group, which is a network of young professionals, young students that have dedicated their work, their studies to global peace and security. and also to CTBT related, but also nuclear disarmament issues. But why is this important in a session about human resources? And this it is important because from 1,300 members that we have today, many of them have already, they have been very active before, and now they have already started their career. I can mention here hundreds of members that have started a new career, but I have listed a few here. We have Ksenia Pernavskaya or from Russia, or Shizuka Kuramitsu that are in research. We have Asya Javrova working for the parent mission of Russia. We have Sahil Shah also doing research with the European Leadership Network. We have Virginia Bertuzzi also in the same field, and so many other members that are already engaged in the field of nuclear disarmament, but also as young scientists contributing to the verification regime. And what makes them all very similar is that they all have mentioned that the youth group has been an excellent commencing point for their career. Slowly since 2016, but very steadily, the youth group has become a knowledge hub for everyone that would like to learn more about nuclear disarmament, non-proliferation, CTBT, specifically related issues, but also when it comes to gaining more hard skills in technical matters or other scientific fields. And this is, and the youth group provides a lot of, this brings me to the main point basically of my presentation, that the youth group provides many opportunities in its portal and the knowledge training portal that young people, professional students can take in order to improve and gain soft and hard skills at the same time. Here is another slide with participations that there have been in different conferences or workshops around the world. One of that I love to mention, everyone that knows me knows that I love to mention, is Maggie Wanyaga, that has been giving a speech at United Nations Security Council, and Maggie is here actually with us. But in order to take advantage of all these opportunities that youth group has to offer, it is very important that you become a member of the youth group. And in order to become a member, you can, it is very easy. It will take you 5 to 10 minutes, and you can use the QR code. You'll become a member of a youth group, and then you'll have the possibility to use and take advantage of all the curriculum that we have there. There is also an introductory curriculum that covers basically all the disciplines working for the CTBTO, from the political perspective to the technical ones, and then in the end you also receive a certificate from the CTBTO. So yeah, please feel free to scan this QR code, become a member of the youth group if you're young, because it will really help you gain some more knowledge in this field. The last thing that I would like to mention is that the program that we're working on right now, and we are going to launch in July, is the third edition of the CTBTO Research Fellowship. The Research Fellowship is a 4-month program that we organize. There are going to be 12 sessions, and during these 12 sessions, members will be able to interact with ambassadors, former ministers, so basically very high-level speakers, and then at the end they will have the possibility to conduct a research and write a paper. They will be mentored also from CTBTO staff. Yeah, thank you, and with this I give the floor back to Marta. Of course, if I will also stay till the very end, so if anyone has a question, of course I'll be more than happy to either answer or meet you after.
Thank you, Marius. This is really, really interesting. And as you can see, there's a lot of effort done in actually attracting young talent from the very beginning. We are also talking about people who don't necessarily, we are not staff members, but will be then in the future. So what we are trying to do is just go a little bit, advance a little bit in time, and then attract these people at a young age, and then hopefully also see them around in this international community. Let's see what comes next. Okay. Because I want to talk to you about the recruitment process. And we have been discussing this week. The recruitment process at the CTBTO is a very structured process. However, for young professionals, so for internships, and now we're going to dive into the internship part. We will also talk about entry-level positions, which at the CTBTO would be at the P2 level, according to the UN Common System and the ICSC. It's a 2-year experience, relevant experience that you need to have in order to qualify for a P2, and that's a staff staffing modality. We will walk you through this as well. However, the recruitment process for internships do not necessarily have to follow every single step of this process. We find that Hema and she's going to talk about this now. We find it really important that even if the internship program recruitment process is a little bit simplified, you know this now so that you can also start preparing. There are relevant examples you can prepare for a future interview. There are things you can be exposed to learn. There are competencies that you can actually develop. So although not every single step of this process may apply to an internship recruitment process, still please listen to it, because there are tips here that you can apply in any recruitment situation that you might encounter in the future. So I would like to then welcome Hema Kuleratne, who works as Human Resources Officer in the Human Resources section, Human Resources Services. She's going to walk you through this part. I will take over and continue with the next slides. And do not leave at the end of the session, because we're going to have the opportunity to talk to an intern actually who is with us now, and she's going to talk a little bit about her experience. So Hema, please.
Hello everyone, my name is Hema. I'm Human Resources Officer. So I am going to little bit, if I do not know whether you were attending the sessions yesterday and day before, if you do, you might see that I will little bit fast forward in the interest of the time, but still try to cover things as much as I can, okay? So with this, about the internship contract modality, my colleague Martha will talk to you in detail, all the necessary details. And currently we have a couple of internship vacancies. They are running throughout the year. Please have a look and apply for those ones. Then whenever we have a requirement to recruit an intern, we will look at those lists and then go for a selection, okay? With that, let's see what I have next here. Oh, okay. All of these will be discussed by Martha, just. Under this slide, Martha will give you a lot of details when she speaks about it. Okay, here is the recruitment process. All of these steps I am going to discuss little bit by details so that you might find it interesting. Okay, first of all, I would like to refer you to this infographic that our recruitment team has prepared. This gives you a detailed steps, kind of a step-by-step guide that you might find useful when you prepare your job application. So even for an internship, you need to prepare a job application. So with that, this can be found in our website under Working With Us page. Please have a close look. Okay, so with this, I just wanted to say a few words about when you also, this comes to internship and also when you apply for a position. As Martha mentioned, our entry level position would be a P2. Normally in the UN Common System, we have P1 positions, but in our organization, we start with P2. So even the internship vacancies, there are many vacancies under different divisions. So before you decide to apply for a vacancy, you need to do a little homework. That is, you need to look for the vacancy advertisement and look for the duties and responsibilities, qualifications and experience paragraph. And as you go through those bullet points, reflect on your depth and the breadth of experience to see whether your experience aligns with that of the required requirements that is being asked by the vacancy notice. So with that, if you are convinced now you have the required experience, then you need to start the job application by CTBTO. Our job application has 3 main components. The first one is to create a profile. I am going to just touch upon 2 points on the create a profile section. So the first one is, please use your contact information. Please use your personal email address as contact information. This is because most of you may be students right now, and then you might be doing some work. If we contact you, we need to be able to contact you at any given point of time. If you are between transition of jobs or something, you might not have the access to your official email, then by this way, if you use the personal email, we will not have any issues and you will receive our email. So the second one is the languages. And please note that fluency in English is a requirement, mandatory requirement to work for the CTBTO. Even for the internship is applicable. So therefore, please make sure that you need to mention your level of fluency, and that is a mandatory requirement. Fluency is defined as being fluent in all the 4 areas of the language, that is speaking, writing, reading, and understanding. So with that, we will move to the most important section of the application, that is the employment information form. This we call the EIF. So you need to remember always to upload a completed EIF to your profile, because this is a mandatory requirement. If we do not see your EIF, unfortunately, we can't move forward with your candidature to the next stage. And if even you upload a resume or a CV, this will not be considered as a substitute. And then we will move to the next section, that is description of duties. In the application form, you have 2 spaces to write description of duties and your achievement. So I'm going to talk in detail how you can formulate your sentences to fill this space, especially under the description of duties. This is the space where you can articulate your directly related experience for the job. So having said that, if you are applying for an internship, it could be you have a lot of experience that you can actually mention in there. If you have many experience, you can still mention for internship. But you are applying for a position, for example, P2, that should be, you need to match the experience for the duties. So with that, let's look at the vacancy announcement. This one is currently running in our website. Hold on, I need to go back. Yes, this vacancy is currently advertised with a closing date of 25th June, very soon. And this is a position, the title of the position is Associate External Relations Officer, and this is at P2 level. As I said, an entry level position. So level is P2, and you also see the duties and responsibilities, and also education and work experience and qualifications. So basically, as I mentioned before, when you go through the vacancy notice, you need to reflect yourself to identify which related experience you have gained in your current job past job, or even at the university level, because at the university level you might have done projects that you have shown some skills like the teamwork skills, or you have gained some knowledge. Also, you may have gained a lot of skills that can be transferable skills for this job, which will support your success in this role. So you can identify all of these, and then when it comes to the education, you can see that a university degree with at least 2 years of related experience is mandatory for a P2 position. So basically, we follow the International Civil Service Master Standards framework, and this framework has defined certain standard of experience and education for all categories and the levels of the job. So for a P2 is a university degree and 2 years, P3 is a university degree and 5 years. For example, P4 would be a master's degree with 7 years. It goes like that. So then the next thing is also, you can't see it in here, but the fluency in our vacancy advertisement, we also say fluency in English is a mandatory requirement. So with that, let's see how we can actually write your experience in the job description section. So what you are trying to say is to show your alignment with the job requirements. Basically, as you know, you need to write, like the reader, we have a hiring panel, and that hiring panel consists of experts in the field. So your challenge is to highlight all your related experience that is aligned with the job and write in such a way so that you convince the hiring panel and the human resources. So let's look at this, let's read it to understand. So the duties and responsibilities in this example required is designing an outreach strategy and establishing partnerships. So you can write as an example, supported an outreach campaign and assisted manager in liaising with potential partners, directly involved in the development of key partnerships. So by this way, what you are doing is you are showcasing your alignment with the job. Okay, and also these are some quick tips that you can use to get this thing like the apply in writing this. Actually, I just forgot to tell you one thing. Before I come here, what you should do, this is like a piece of paper. You take yourself and just write T. We call it a T technique. So left side, you see the duties and responsibilities. These are the bullet points that you would take from the vacancy advertisement. When you read it, get those bullet points into one side of the T, like this piece of paper, and now you think of your like experience, reflect on it, and then try and match it. That's what we are doing here. Okay, I just forgot to mention it before. So coming back to the quick tips, focus on most applicable skills. If you are applying for a position, focus on most applicable skills. If you are applying for an internship, you can mention the skills that you have gained. It doesn't have to be necessarily tailor-made. As my colleague Martha mentioned, it can be a little bit simplify the process when it comes to an internship. And then be concise and brief, avoid long sentences. This is better that you don't lose the focus on the words then. Avoid passive sentence construction, use action verbs and powerful phrases. Martha will talk about a little bit about action verbs. So use as much as possible different action verbs. As you see here, I have used some action verbs in the example. And then emphasize your role. If you are applying for a post, it's very important to emphasize your role because we assess your capability and suitability for a particular job and not like a team or your peer who worked on a project. And also cluster the duties and main areas. After you put all the duties and then you reflect your experience and you have now drafted some sentences on the right side of the paper, look at it again. to see whether you have repeated yourself here and there in terms of main task or responsibilities, try and cluster them together. Because by this way, the reader will be able to easily read and understand what you are going to say. With that, let's move on to the achievement part. And I find that a lot of applicants find it hard to write achievements. So achievement, this place is something, this is a place for you to reflect upon the, give you the positive results or positive accomplishments. This is where you should write these. Basically, sometimes, like right now, because you are like all the group is like young professionals, you will remember still all your achievements. But along the way, in years' time, you might forget what you have achieved. Therefore, my advice is just have a Word document, keep writing your achievements like electronically, and by the time you apply, you have a list of achievements that you can match with the job requirements, related ones. So let's see how to write this. This is to provide the overview of positive accomplishment, and also again here also be clear about your role and quantify the achievement. It's better always to quantify with using figures and percentages, and also highlight the impact of your achievement. Also, you can say because of this is how it positively impacted on the team, if possible on the organization. So let's read the example. Successfully designed and delivered 10 career fairs to large audiences of over 1,000 participants from all CTBTO regions, with the aim to position CTBTO as an employer of choice. As a result, candidate pool increased by 10%. Please note the usage of action verbs and also see how the quantitative data is used in this example. And also I have mentioned the impact on the organization. As a result, candidate pool increased by 10%. If you can formulate it in this way using the tips, that would be great, because that will capture the attention of the reader, and then you will be long listed. And I just wanted to emphasize the importance of your job application. This job application dictates your eligibility and suitability for the job. We use this job application to determine whether you are eligible or suitable for the job, and by this way we will be moving you to the next stage of the process. Okay? So therefore, take your time to write it. It might need a lot more time than you initially think. Okay? Because the quality should be, the more quality the application brings, the more chances you will get to be longlisted. And then the next one, this is the last component of the job application process, to craft a winning cover letter. So this is the space that you can articulate and emphasize your value proposition, meaning why you need this job or why you need this internship. And then tell us what are you going to bring to the job. Also, briefly explain how your overall depth and breadth of experience makes you a suitable candidate, like the good fit for this job, or how your experience aligns with the requirements of the job. And then also tell us why you are so motivated to apply for a particular post, and highlight the salient points. Do not repeat the EIF. You have already mentioned very clearly many information. You don't have to write those because we all read the EIF. That will be the first thing we do. And then customize your cover letter to the vacancy. Also remember that you may be applying for many posts. You may be using a cover letter which you will save as. It is perfectly fine. But after you do it, read it from the beginning to the end. Because we find sometimes the cover letter is addressed to another organization, or you forgot to change the name of the post. That's why. So I see some smiling faces because this actually happened. And that will not bring, we are thinking, you need to be paying attention to detail, all of these. And then elaborate on elements to succeed. This is the opportunity for you to personalize your application. You can talk about your personal character, some elements of the personal character, your strengths, your attributes, and explain us how these things will support your success in this particular role. And also this is where your personality can shine, and the hiring manager will be able to get a sense of who you are and how you think. This is the opportunity to do that. And then also tell your story to convince the panel. You need to write the story in such a way that you can convince the panel that you are a best fit for the job. These are the points that I wanted to cover in this session. And with that, I wish you all the best, a successful application, and I look forward to receive all of your applications soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Hema, and you will stay here for the rest of the session also to answer to any questions that might come at the end. Indeed, very important, and you know, I've been mentioning this in the last sessions. I need to tell you as well. I worked many years for the OSCE, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. You can't imagine how many times in the motivation letters people enthusiastically said, I would love to work for the OECD, which is located in Paris and has a completely different mandate. I read many times people's cover letters saying I was a manger instead of a manager, so they just forgot the A in the middle. Or they have a degree in pubic law and not public law because they forgot the L and it reads differently. So do please follow Hema's tips and read the cover letter, the application form, give it to somebody else to read before you press enter and send my application. This would be very important. I'm going to continue with the recruitment process, and I will go to the end so that you know what it is like to go through one of our CTBTO recruitment processes. And then I will talk a little bit about the contractual modalities, because as I mentioned, going through an internship might simplify this process. Applying for a P2 that requires 2 years of experience, or P3, etc., you will have to go through this. So we just think it's important that you actually learn that part too. So let's say you have done everything Hema told you to do and you are now in the next step. Not everybody will reach this step. Probably will be 20 to 30% maximum. These are the people that have gone through the long list. They have been longlisted because they meet the minimum requirements, and then their application forms have been further assessed by the hiring division and a subject matter expert. And only the best with the most outstanding and the best written application form following Hema's advice will actually reach this stage. They stand out, they drew the attention, they caught the eye of the hiring manager. And you might have the best experience in the world. If you cannot capture that in an application form, you won't reach this step. So that's the magic actually of writing a proper application form and a proper cover letter. But let's say you're in this step, you're going to find this. And I know tests are very well known and very spread and stuff. The asynchronous interviews aren't. I would like to ask you if you have ever gone through an asynchronous interview with a platform such as Sunroom, Modern Hire, HireView, VidCruiter. Raise your hands, please. Okay, we have some people here. So, how is the experience? It's kind of stressful to talk to a camera, no? We can say a lot about this. However, this methodology is here to stay. We organizations, we recruiters, we hiring divisions find it very useful to see how somebody can be put in front of a camera and answer to a technical question and be recorded, to see how they structure the answer, how they speak the language that is mandatory for that vacancy notice, to see how much they know about what it is, what it takes actually to do the job. So an asynchronous interview, if you receive this invitation, you will be invited to, during more or less a week, 5 days to a week, you will have to press the button, and after practicing a bit, you will see a question on your screen. You can do it from home, your office, doesn't matter. You will see a question on the screen. You will have a timer to take notes and think of the question, and then the next timer will start, and then you will be recorded. And whatever you say, it's your answer to that question. So as I said, it's not easy because you don't have a panel, you don't have human beings at that moment. You have a camera, your own camera. So it is a bit stressful. However, my experience, I've gone through a couple of these actually, I can say you really get used to it, and it's a very useful information for the other side, for the panel member who will assess that. If you receive this, please note that this part is very technical. You will not be asked what motivated you to apply, tell me about a time. You're going to be asked technical questions about the job. And you usually receive 2 to 3 questions, and you usually have 2 to 3 minutes to respond to each of those questions. You might receive it in this way, or we might want to explore your technical knowledge via a written test. You will get an invitation. Can you do the written test on this day at this time? Yes, good. That day, you will receive an email with all the information needed to respond, to read the questions and to be able to, with your knowledge, respond to them. Usually tests at the CTBTO go from 1 hour to 2 hours, depending on the number of questions and the complexity. Let's say you went through this, you are one of the candidates that is going to go to the next step, and this is the last one, competency-based interviews, which are also very widespread, not only in the public, but also in the private sector. These competency-based interviews, these sort of interviews explore how much the level of a competency you have shown in the past, which more or less predicts that you will show the same in the future. This is why we use them. And we believe that between the technical part, the knowledge that you have demonstrated at the beginning and the previous step, and this one, you're in a pretty good position to behave in a successful way when encumbering one of our positions, and to also show the knowledge that you need to successfully achieve your goal. So we have many competencies. They really depend on the sort of position you apply for. Do expect questions on professionalism and or accountability and or communication and or client orientation, etc., etc. These are the sort of competencies that we will be asking you. They are not chosen arbitrarily. There is a panel that chooses them very carefully and thinks really of the sort of competencies that the incumbent will have to show if selected. This is a definition of one of them. More than a definition, these are positive indicators. If you do this, you are showing commitment to continuous learning. So you will need to look for examples in your past experience that actually show these sort of indicators. And they're very well defined, as I said. Like panel members don't think about, yeah, well, this person did show commitment. No, they really look at the indicators. It's not a numerical thing, but almost it's a very exact thing. And you have thousands of articles and a lot of literature in internet. I just really encourage you to practice these. It's a different thing to see them there than to get a question. Please tell us about a time when you were working in a team and something went wrong. You're going to have to think of situations where you were put in that scenario and what you did. And it's important that you practice. So these are some tips for success for this part of the recruitment process. It is past behavior. Do not come with hypothetical, I would do this in the future. No, it's what did you do in the past? And we look for recent, relevant examples. If you're doing, for example, I don't know, if you don't have so much experience and you have much more experience doing, for example, something at university, but it does go into, it does relate to this competency, do use the example. And do explain your role. Do say, okay, this is exactly what I did. Prepare relevant examples to that position. I have done recruitment many years of my life. I have also done training. Now, if I apply for a position in recruitment, I'd rather look for examples of my past experience as a recruiter and not as a trainer, for obvious reasons. But I'm just telling you because I see this a lot in interviews, and it really, really increases your chances, let's put it like this, if you look for relevant examples. Focus on your role. We know everybody works in a team, and it's very difficult to put yourself on the spotlight and say, I did, because everybody contributes. Just clarify who did what, but put yourself in the spotlight. We're not hiring the rest of the team that did that. We're hiring you. So this is why it's very important that you mentioned that. And think that the people that are listening to you, the hiring division, and so there are 2 people in the panel that are from the hiring division, and 2 people that are from other divisions, they are looking for that structure. Situation, when, where something happened, what was your task, what was your position, what happened, and what did you do? And if you can even say what you learned about the situation, even better. They are looking for that structure. Try to practice following that structure and use action verbs, as Hema mentioned, not only for the application process, but also for the interview. It's much more powerful to say, I liaised, than to say, I spoke with this person and then I called the other person and I contacted this, and if you actually put all those verbs together, you have one single one, which is very, very strong. You can do something, but you can develop something, you can craft something. It's a very different thing. And in other languages, I'm sure it's the same. In the English language, we know that action verbs are very powerful and have a lot of meaning. These interviews are done via video conference, via Teams. They last about 45 minutes. We usually ask 4 to 5 competency-based questions. We will dive directly into these questions, so don't expect the typical introduction. We're going to go directly, okay, think about a time, yeah? And expect to see 4 people as panel members and us as ex officio. We will be there to ensure that the process is being run in a transparent, solid manner according to our framework. These are some of the action verbs, as I was saying. There's also a lot of literature there. Try to practice using these verbs differently. Don't make them tired, basically. Don't always use I ensured, because the third time is just going to lose meaning, okay? Just really try to use different synonyms. And try to use the verbs in an active way. It's not the same to say, for example, revenue was increased by 10%, than to say, I and my team increased revenue, or the achievement that Hema was discussing before. There's a lot of action that I did there, and it's much more powerful. It just attracts the attention, no? These cards are upstairs on the 2nd floor in our booth. Please pick yours. On one side, and it's a kind of a credit card size, so you can put it in your wallet. We actually have compiled 10 tips for you to have the most, to really go through the recruitment process with success, no matter the result. This doesn't mean that you're going to hire it immediately, but that you will do a better job during that recruitment process. And I'd like to focus on step number 8. It's very, very, very important to time yourself. Because one of these asynchronous interviews, we will give you 2 to 3 minutes to respond to the question. And 2-3 minutes go like this. And you will not have the time to go to the thing until the timer says, beep, 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 gone. Next question. So you need to really time yourself, 2 to 3 minutes. And for any competency-based question, the panel will listen to you for about 2 minutes, 30 seconds, maximum 3. And I time I'm Spanish, I speak a lot. But it can also happen to you that when you're timing yourself, you're still explaining the situation and where something happened, and you're already a minute 2 with 45 seconds, and you didn't even get to what you did. So really time yourselves, talk to yourself in front of the mirror, to your family. Do time yourself and do practice. And before I ask you to follow us on LinkedIn, I'd like to let you know a little bit how we are structured in the organization. We are about 300 staff members. It's not a very big organization, but it's an organization where every single person counts and really actively, substantially contributes to our mandate. we really give a lot of importance to diversity. So we really disseminate our vacancies and our information and our events as much as we can, so that when we see who has applied, we see that there's a wide representation of all the CTBTO regions. We have different contractual modalities. The one that Hema was discussing is the professional staff. This sort of contractual modality requires that you have a university degree. For 2 of the levels, P2, P3, it's indeed a bachelor's degree. As you go up, is more years of experience because it's more complex tasks, because it's managerial responsibilities. You need, in addition to more years of relevant experience, a master's degree. This professional staff, we follow UN Common System standards. There is in addition, in this organization, a tenure. You can only be 7 years in the organization in that position, after which you need to separate and at least do 12 months, consecutive months of break service before you can actually come back, and you need to compete for that as well. The general services modality is a modality where we have staff members who are obviously, like everybody, subject to successful performance, but who could actually stay until they retire, 65. And these staff members, the entitlements, the benefits, the conditions, and so on are somewhat different. As I said, they're not subject to tenure, and they are there. They have a lot of technical, very specific knowledge in their field of expertise, and they actually assist the professional staff so that together they can actually reach their goals successfully. We also have other contractor modalities which are short-term appointments, temporary appointments, which are then much shorter. You can actually have 6 years in some cases, up to 2 years, absolute maximum in other cases, in the short term, for example. These sort of contractual modalities are used for when there is a specific need. Somebody goes on maternity leave, somebody goes on special leave without pay for 1 year. We need to replace that person, that staff member, only 1 year. So this is when this comes into place. We also have consultants. They are used on a call-off basis, and we look for extremely specialized people with very niche expertise in some areas. We hire for the 6 divisions we have, all of them. You will see actually in our vacancies the different divisions represented as we need staff. So on the 3 non-technical divisions of administration, the Executive Secretary's office, and also the Division of External Relations and Legal. And we also, of course, look for experts on the technical side of IDC, International Data Center, the IMS, the monitoring, and also on the on-site inspection. So we look actually for experts in all those areas, in all the contractual modalities. That's true that, we're constantly hiring. We also have junior professional officers and cost-free experts. However, these contractual modalities are discussed directly with the member states who wish to sponsor one of these professionals. And we have, of course, internships. Now, for the internships, what we actually look is for, as Hema was mentioning, very young professionals who are still maybe in their university time, but who have completed 2 years, at least 2 years of the university degree. No matter the degree, but it has to be a university degree. They must have completed 2 years. 18 to 35 years old, that's what we look for. And usually in any of these different divisions, you will see that these internships are announced at the beginning of the year, because every division asks us to process a projection. They think that they will need 5 interns, for example, throughout the year. This is when we actually post a generic vacancy, internship vacancy in the website. And only when that division says, please, close, I want to hire 2 interns, and these are the terms of reference. This is concretely what I'm going to ask for. Then is when that recruitment process starts. And as Hema was mentioning, and I was mentioning, we walked you through the whole recruitment process. It could be that it's actually simplified. It could be. It could be that out of, 50 interns, 10 are selected, and there are short interviews for them, or they are sent a test, or both. So it really depends. We are not required to go through the whole full-fledged recruitment process for an intern. But you will be tested, you will be asked for sure. So this is what I can say about that part. What else I wanted to say? Internships are usually for a period of 6 months, after which it can be extended for another 6 months. So it's a very defined period of time. Why? Because an internship is a combination of two things. An intern gets to work. I can tell you there's a plan and there's a performance or a report that on performance that is actually completed at the end of that internship program. But on the other side is a learning opportunity. And learning opportunities also should be framed, so to say, in terms of time. So there's a 6 months usually, and then if everything goes well, if the intern is still interested, if the division still finds this useful, and then that intern usually then gets an extension of another 6 months. What else can I say? We are indeed in LinkedIn, in social media. We're pretty active there. You're going to find a lot of information on our website as well, also on internships, also on living in Vienna. For people coming from outside, you will find the different contractual modalities that I have discussed. We are also very active in virtual job fairs, where some of them are basically for the whole spectrum of possible candidates. Others are really focused on young professionals. Others really focused on internships. So please do follow us there. Otherwise, I would like to, before we actually give you the floor for questions, I'm going to invite an intern who is with us today. And please come to me, and I will ask you a couple of questions. So Anne has been with us. You need to tell me for how long you have been. I'll ask you the question. Come, please. So I will give you the floor in a second. I'd just like to ask you, how did you hear about the internship that you're following, and how is this matching the background that you have, your experience, and your expectations for future positions in this organization or any other? Please take the floor. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much, Marta, for this. Just to kick this off, I heard about the internship while just following through all the relevant job boards that are in Vienna. As someone who came to Vienna, it was really interesting to try and understand what's on offer, who's in Vienna, and how does it apply to me. And that's how I came upon and stumbled upon the CTBTO website. And after checking through, I found the role on external relations, and I fell in love, and I applied, and that's how I'm here.
Please continue.
Thank you so much. So first off, thanks for the invitation, and I'm going to talk about some of the professional transformations that I have undergone ever since starting my internship at the External Relations Office. So I'd like to say thank you to Marta, Mahmoud, and Eleonora for this, and for organizing this session. So the session is specifically curated for young professionals, students, and people that are even looking to make a career switch to in organizations such as the CTBTO and the fields that make up a comprehensive treaty such as the CTBT. A treaty, might I add, that pulls together diverse ideas, fields, and expertise in order to be verifiable and effective at scale. And for this reason, it's an honor to be here, and I thank you all for this opportunity. My name is Anna Tambo. I'm from Kenya, and I'm currently an intern at the External Relations and International Cooperation section of the Legal Division. As I said, I'm from Kenya, and my journey to Austria started in 2021, where I moved to undertake my 2-year master in the Vienna Master of Applied Arts at the University of Applied Arts in Vienna. Within this 2-year period, I was able to complete my master's degree. I was also able to undertake another internship at a UN-based organization, UNODC, and I also graduated from my master's degree. As you can imagine, the move from a different continent and the shift from my professional trajectory came with a lot of experiences, insights, and lessons. Now that I'm almost halfway into my internship, I'd like to share with you some of the main professional transformations that I have undergone. Professional transformation number 1, timing. Unbeknownst to me, my professional metamorphosis began with my application process. That said, and with the wisdom of hindsight, I strongly vouch for all the tips that have been shared by the HR team before my presentation. And these tips include checking the jobs.ctbto.org website regularly. What this does is that it allows you to have a bird's eye view of the range of skills and expertise that the CTBTO is looking to incorporate. Since 2021, I've been trying to keep up to date with the CTBTO jobs board. In my experience, I was able to match my skills and interests against the vacancies that were displayed on the website. However, once I identified the role that was a great match and applied, the great timing allowed me to transition smoothly from my studies into my professional engagements. I was able to complete my master's degree, and 3 days after defending my thesis, I began my internship here. I would also like to mention that the HR team was very accommodative on the potential start dates that would work for me. This helped me to find a balance between phasing out of my academic commitments and starting off this new internship. The second professional commitment transformation I hold in high regard is being consistently deliberate in my communication skills, both vertically and horizontally. The work that is done at the External Relations and International Cooperation section entails engaging with a wide range of high-level stakeholders. Ultimately, the CTBTO is pegged on having multiple moving parts working towards a common goal. For this reason, I'd like to quote one of the senior advisors in our section who always says that the best way to understand what someone needs is to ask. This means cutting out projections, assumptions, and just starting off with sincere dialogue and communication. Within the job-seeking process, this translates to reaching out to the existing staff and personnel to inquire about the open positions, or even to ask about the work that is being done in the various sections. This is a great way to find out if the open vacancies match with your skills and your interests. One way to do this is through LinkedIn. CTBTO is very active on LinkedIn, and so are a lot of staff. Another great avenue is the Science and Technology Conference, which is ongoing until the 23rd of June. For those that are here in person, I would greatly encourage you to speak with everyone in the building and also to visit the HR booth that is upstairs. For those that are joining us online, please feel free to engage with us on the chat section and email where possible. Last but not least, my golden transformation is on having a growth mindset. The range of tasks and skills has changed steadily over the past few months. During my onboarding phase, my main task was to understand how the intern's office serves a critical role within the work of the section. This meant providing support to officers through drafting concise reports, dispatching communication materials, and even sharing ideas on how the internship can be meaningful. While it took a couple of weeks to deepen this understanding, the result has been that the scope of my work has now grown substantially, and the range of responsibility and trust has also grown. For this internship, having a growth mindset means that I'm able to take stock of my lessons and successes with support and guidance from my supervisor on how to show up every single day in the work of the section. Why is this important? From the conversations that I have heard with my peers and interns within the organization, each internship is tailored to give every intern world-class skills and expertise in the role that you are in. At a micro level, it's also evident that every internship experience is tailored, first off, to identify your strengths, secondly, to nurture your skills, and third, to set you on the path for professional success in the career path that you choose for yourself. Summarizing my professional transformations regarding timing, communication, and having a growth mindset throughout my internship has helped me to gain more clarity on, first, the current skills and networks that I would like to gain, secondly, the type of healthy work environment that I would like to be a part of in future, and thirdly, the professional milestones that I would like to achieve in my career. In closing, the CTBTO is a great institution to work with. First off, the offices are based at the Vienna International Center, where many other UN entities are based. Thanks to this, there's a lot of cultural exchanges that occur. For instance, the Chinese Language Day gave people an opportunity to write their names in simplified Chinese characters. So if by any chance your name is Anne, please see me after the session for tutorials. Secondly, the cultural intersection is a breath of fresh air. For instance, I have colleagues who are now friends that come from many parts of the world, such as Greece, Cameroon, Lesotho, Australia, just to name a few. Furthermore, there's always something interesting happening at the Rotunda. For those that are not familiar, the Rotunda can be described as the main congregation hall as you enter the VIC. Lastly, if you love encountering new things, there's always something to marvel at, even from your peers. For instance, it's always interesting to hear what the other interns from the international monitoring systems are up to with their impressive machines. Even though our daily tasks are completely different, it's always a treat to discover how the diversity in expertise, background, and culture is harnessed and unified to make the CTBTO the top-tier institution that it is today. Please consider applying and joining us with all the open oppositions that have been shared. While I might sit here today and share my experience, you could definitely be the next one that takes on the mantle. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. If Hema, Denise, Marius, and I did not convince you, I'm sure Anne did. So that was very inspiring. Thank you so much. You also gave us some tips and some information about what is it to be an intern in the everyday life, so to say, of the VIC. We are done with our information. We're looking forward to your questions. So please go ahead and ask us questions. If it's not me who will respond, then I'm sure one of my colleagues do. So please, if somebody has a question, raise your hand and somebody will help you with a microphone. Yes, please.
Hi, it was very informative, thank you. I have a question regarding what happens when you're from a non-signatory state. So if you're a national from a non-signatory state, does it matter? I read on the website that we are responsible for our own visas, but just as an application process.
Yes, of course. I mean, the CTBTO works with member states. Of course, the idea is encouraging the development of nationals from member states. In principle, it is mandatory to be from a member state for our staffing categories. So we do follow the practice and the policy of the UN. However, I mean, having said that, let's say you are from a member state, a signatory state, we do need that you actually have a valid residence in Austria. However, if you come with a visa, we can also support you in actually, processing the papers and so on, in order to pass from a visa to a legitimation card, which is what will give you then the valid permission to work here and reside in Austria during that time. Did I respond to your question? Yeah, thank you. More questions, please. No more questions. Yes, please.
Sorry, I came late. I had a presentation. I'm Mr. Joel from Kenya.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you too. Now, I wanted to ask, do you have a deliberate equal opportunity principle that allows you to, maybe from Kenya, we are a diverse state, and we have various segments of classification like the tribe, so that you don't have maybe Kenyans coming from the same village, yet the taxes that the Kenyan government pays, CTBTO, comes from everywhere in Kenya. So do you have a deliberate action to ensure that there's diversification even in that country, so that you reflect the true face of that nation? Thank you.
I see. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. we are strong advocates of diversity. You actually had one of our first speakers was the Associate Diversity Officer, who also ensures that within the CTBTO community that there is diversity there as well, in every sense, not only in the geographical part. What we do in the human resources, and together with other colleagues and advocates and ambassadors, so to say, of the message of joining to work the CTBTO, we disseminate our vacancies, we do job fairs, virtual, we do presentations, trying to attract the attention of every single CTBTO region. And we also have specialized job fairs, which are virtual, which actually address different parts of the CTBTO region. So we have sometimes job fairs that are only for Latin America and Caribbean, or only for Africa, or or different regions. And we are very well aware that there needs to be a balance. Our recruitment processes are merit-based. But having said that, of course, if we identify that there are regions that are less represented, our talent acquisition activities will actually focus more there. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you. We have also a question here on the chat. Great presentation, thank you. Great, thank you so much. How opportunities are NDCs advertised? It's the same thing. We actually go really global. We go really general. You can see us in social media and all the other things that I said. Also in our website, we put all the information we can. And we want to go actually further than that. And we will be taking the details of all the participants, for example, in this SnT, and we will ask them for their permission to send them in the future vacancy notices, job opportunities within the organization. So there are many other things that we can do. And we will, as we go along, we will continue expanding our talent acquisition activities and efforts to ensure that everybody knows what's out there and how and when they can apply. Any other question, please? And in the meantime, let me read this question.
Oh, thanks again.
Yes.
I really like your presentation also yesterday already. Just another question. So if you're a young professional and you start, for example, with a P2 position, and maybe there's just 1 year missing to go to a P3, is there a possibility to climb up the ladder within the CTBTO, or is it a fixed system so that I have to apply the next year, for example, for a P3 position, or is it kind of a dynamic system?
That's a very good question. Thank you so much. And again, we follow UN standards, also best practices and policies according to this. If you apply for a P2 position, you have been found suitable for that grade. If you want to, if you're attracted to a P3 position, which actually the difference is 3 years. So it's minimum 2 years of experience for a P2, a minimum of experience of 5 years for a P3. There's definitely going to be the need for you to apply to a P3 position. So yes, indeed, there is a competition per grade. Having said that, when you are hired on a P2 or any other grade, as years pass by, you're entitled to receive a step within that grade. So you can be a P2, step 1, and the next year be a P2, step 2, etc., until there's a limit there. When you actually apply for another position at a higher grade, in terms of conditions, this will be considered and regarded, basically. But it is true that you need to compete for the higher grades, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe in that sense as well, good to know that, let's say you compete for a P2, you do great, and you're one of the recommended candidates, but you're not the selected one. Somebody else gets selected. Your application form as a recommended candidate found suitable for that specific position at that grade will be kept active for possibly future opportunities, maybe on a temporary basis. It could be that we call you in 3 months and we say, hey, you know, you competed for this, somebody else got the job, but we have another opportunity, would you be interested? This could also happen. I know I expanded a little bit more on that question, but I hope you found that useful.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We have a question here. I think it was a bit similar to what you were mentioning before, the other participant, whether the recruitment of these staffs is open in the sense that candidates can apply directly or still have to go through official channels of the country's representatives. We do not have secondment. We don't have secondment relations with the member states. When you apply yourself, and we see you and regard you as a candidate applying to that position. And if you get selected for the position, you're offered a post with us. Now, whatever you need to do back home, that's really your thing. It could be that you are, I don't know, working for the government, for example, and you would like to ask for some time off, and this is granted, and then you apply for a position and you get selected. But it's very important for me to clarify that this is a completely different thing. We won't ask you, you have to be free of any other contractual obligation to work for the CTBTO, but having said that, it's really everybody, it's your thing basically, Any other question, please? Yes. The next time I'm going to ask one of my colleagues to respond to the questions as well. I'm happy to respond.
Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed your presentations since Tuesday.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh my God, okay.
But my question is there an age cap, like a limit on age for specific job openings? Thank you.
The maximum age is 65. That's when, if somebody is a staff member, basically, we should look at that age limit. But I don't think in your case we're talking about that. I don't think you have the problem that situation. Yeah, that's the age limit. Also for interns, it's true that there is an age limit, since we really want to keep this for, we want to call it young professionals. 35 is not the youngest professional, but it's still a young professional. So we do have 18 to 35 for internships. More questions? No more questions. Thank you so much, because all these questions really mean that you were listening, you were interested, and and we might see you applying to our position. So thank you very much for this. Thanks also to my colleagues for being here today. Thank you, Anne. Thank you very much. And we are up on the second floor. Please come visit us and take the card. Thank you very much. Thank you.